Good morning. How the devil are you doing this fine day? Hope you're all fit and well. Good morning, Ken Hatcher. And just seen Andy Bullock come into the chat. Morning, Andy. Good of you to join us. Thank you very much indeed for being here. A very quick point. For those like Ken Hatcher and Gary Muirhead that have been here from the outset, you all know the story of how the Breakfast Show came into being. But for the rest of you, I have finally got around to actually writing down exactly how this show came to be. How I made the switch from magazine journalism to live streaming and all that kind of thing. If you'd like to learn how we got here, I'm going to post in the chats just as soon as I can press the right button. There you are. I've written an article called The Birth of the Breakfast Show. If you fancy reading that, you certainly can. Mark Whiting, good morning as well. Good morning to Dan Cullen, who has also just joined us. Now, before we move on, how's this for a thing? Yesterday, we featured a backhoe attachment for a skid steer or a compact track loader made by the Colombian firm Mazzio Attachments. We got to talking about the company, its products, and about its chocolates as well, if you remember rightly. Well, immediately after the show, I got a message from Jose Caballo, the company's co-founder. He's Colombian, but he lives in Florida. It's a whole other story. Not only was he delighted to see his company's products on display on the show, he is also coming to the UK, and I'm planning to meet up with him. Good morning to Neil Edwards as well. He's just joined us. I'm seeing Neil on Thursday, next week. Next Thursday, yes. I'm not seeing him today. I'm seeing him next Thursday. So yes, Jose Caballo is coming here to the UK, and I'm meeting up with him. I have no idea when he's coming. Don't know what he's doing here, how long he's staying, but too good an opportunity to miss, I think. So I am planning to hook up with him as soon as I hear exactly what he's doing. Now, without further ado, let me roll the intro, post the question of the day, and let's finally get this show on the road. Just a very quick point of clarification. I said I'm meeting up with Neil Edwards on Thursday next week. We're meeting up at the London Build exhibition. If anybody else is going, please let me know. I'm going to do the show first, and then I'm going to hop on up to Olympia to actually go and see the show, and obviously to meet up with Neil as well. If anybody else is in London on that day and they fancy going to the London Build exhibition, let me know. Maybe we can meet up for a cup of coffee. And I'm going to say a very quick good morning to Glenn Johnson, who's just popped into the chat. Now, it is Thursday, the 9th of November. Welcome to the Breakfast Show. I am your host, Mark Anthony. In today's show, bouncing back from tragedy, replacing the Champlain Towers after a deadly collapse. There's more to the Fayat group than just Bomag. Husqvarna and the rise of the demolition robots, and for the love of God, don't look down. It'll make sense when we get there. Plus, our resident AI news anchor, Miss Demi Lition, returns with news of not one but two new electric site dumpers from Ausa. But first, we're going to peer back through the mists of time to see what was happening on this day in history. I'll do this day in history in just a second, but I do need to throw this up. Ken Hatcher says, wish Neil all the best. I liked his monthly chat, as did I. If we can bring that back, we most certainly will. So, as I've already said, on this day in history, on this day in 1541, Henry VIII had his wife locked up in the Tower of London. Look, I'm married. I'm sure he had his reasons. In 1620, the crew of the Mayflower sighted land off Cape Cod. They'd been at sea for 2 whole months. In 1888, Jack the Ripper's fifth and probably final victim, Mary Jane Kelly, was found dead on her bed. In 1944, the Red Cross was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. In 1969, one of the greatest songs of all time, in my humble opinion, Bridge Over Troubled Water, was recorded by Simon and Garfunkel. In 1970, The Goodies premiered on the BBC. In 1984, A Nightmare on Elm Street premiered in the US, and the world was introduced to kindly old Freddy Krueger. And in 2006, David Bowie performed on stage for what would be the final time as part of a charity event in New York. Now, before we get into the real meat of the show, let me remind you of our question of the day. It looks a bit like this. Yeah, our friend Gary Muirhead, who I haven't seen in the chat yet. I hope he's all doing okay. But Gary has reclaimed his crown as our resident quizmaster, and he's back with a real thinker this morning. His question is this: would you prefer to work longer hours and enjoy a shorter working week, or would you choose to work shorter hours and spread it out a bit? Personally, I don't have a dog in this fight. I'm kind of committed to being here 5 days a week, come what may. And besides, by about 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I am way past my creative best. Although some of the writing I've been doing late at night recently, but that's a whole other story. But what about you? Would you prefer a longer working hours and a shorter working week, or would you prefer shorter working hours and a longer working week? Let us know in the chat. As I said, it's a bit of a thinker, that one, and we'll come back to that at the end of the show. Now, it is a story that we covered right here on the Breakfast Show more than 2 years ago. In the early hours of the morning, as I say, 2 years ago, a 12-story beachfront condominium in Surfside, Florida, collapsed, resulting in the deaths of 98 people and injury to many more. 10 days after the collapse, demolition crews moved in to bring down the part of the structure that hadn't collapsed. But as you're about to see, it is possible to bounce back from a tragedy.
You could be mistaken for assuming these renders were for just any other condo going up on the Miami coastline. Glitzy luxury apartments designed for the highest bidder, complete with a pool stretching between them. They fit in perfectly with every other apartment tower gracing Florida's famous beaches. But these buildings are going up on the site of an unspeakable tragedy, one that shook the city to its core and could change the way we build forever.
The whole building right here is gone.
The building shook, and then I looked out the window and you couldn't see.
It looked like something from like 9/11, literally.
At 1:30 a.m. on the 24th of June 2021, the Champlain South Tower in Miami suffered a partial pancake collapse. The building was barely 40 years old. The tragedy resulted in 55 of the complex's 136 flats being entirely destroyed, killing 98 people. At the time of publishing this video, we still don't fully know why the building collapsed. The National Institute of Standards and Technology, or NIST, is investigating. But piecing together an incident like this takes years and sometimes even decades. It's a process that's extremely important to get right. Here's what we know so far. A pancake collapse is one of the deadliest types of building failures. It's called this for the way the collapsing floors land and stack as they fall, bringing all their weight down on top of the floor below. More and more weight accumulates as the floors fall one after the other. That's why it's known as a progressive failure, a chain reaction set off when a load-bearing element is damaged, typically on the lower floors or in the foundations of the building. But these types of failures are much more common in earthquake zones, not in areas like Florida, where buildings are more susceptible to wind and sea damage than the earth shaking. Discovering what triggered this type of unusual collapse has been paramount in the ongoing investigation, and the findings could set a new standard for building codes. Sadly, this has happened before. Tragedy shapes the way we build. In 1974, a building collapse in Miami changed building codes forever. The roof of a government building caved in, killing 7 people and injuring 15 others. Ever since then, buildings in Miami-Dade County have to go through a recertification process every 40 years. In fact, the Champlain South Tower was going through this very recertification process right before its collapse. As of right now, 400 large pieces of steel-reinforced concrete, along with other pieces of evidence, have been moved to facilities so that teams can begin removing and testing concrete cores and obtaining samples of the rebar. These tests will help investigators learn whether there were any structural flaws in the building by looking at the density of the materials, how porous they are, and whether there was any corrosion. NIST released a statement saying that the investigation is one of the most complex and challenging of its type ever undertaken, with no obvious initiating event for the collapse. The agency says the investigation process won't be completed before the spring of 2024 at the earliest, but that hasn't stopped many different theories from emerging in the media. Days after the collapse, a 2018 report of the Champlain South Tower began to emerge. A consultant had found alarming evidence of major structural damage to the concrete slab below the pool deck, along with cracking in the columns of the parking garage 3 years before the collapse. The report said this concrete and rebar damage was probably caused by persistent water leaks and years of being exposed to corrosive salt air. But it also pointed out a problem with the original design of the building, that the entrance and pool deck is laid on a flat surface and isn't sloped to drain, meaning the water just sits there until it evaporates. Nonetheless, this report gave no dire warning of collapse, and repairs were put off. In the aftermath of the collapse in 2021, a $1 billion settlement for the victims and people who lost family members in the collapse was reached relatively quickly. The money is coming from 37 different sources, including insurance companies, engineering firms, and a luxury condominium whose construction next door was also suspected of contributing to structural damage of the towers. A developer from Dubai also contributed to this settlement. The billionaire purchased the site of the condo for $120 million, barely a year after the collapse. A judge allowed the sale of the land so the money could go towards the victims, but it meant that many people who had hoped this site could be turned into a memorial had their hopes dashed.
2 years after the collapse of the Champlain Towers South building, families of the deceased are still fighting over the proper placement of a permanent memorial.
What will rise on the site instead is a new luxury 12-storey condominium. Designing and constructing this new building is no easy task. The project will have to contend with the emotional weight of its location while fulfilling an economic requirement. This is, after all, one of the most sought-after real estate markets in the country. Notably, there are only going to be 57 residences in these new buildings, a decrease from the previously existing structure, which had 136. While we wait to learn more about the exact cause of this collapse, Florida will now require statewide recertification of condominiums more than 3 stories tall under new legislation. As the investigation comes to an end, this tragedy could change the way we build for generations, and hopefully prevent something like this from ever happening again. You can learn more about this topic and others on our channel over on the World's Best Construction Podcast, available right now wherever you get your podcasts. And as always, if you enjoyed this video and you want to get more from the definitive video channel for construction, make sure you're subscribed to the B1M.
Yeah, if you'd like to read more on that on the likely cause of that original collapse, I've posted a link to the New York Times article in the chat. It's very, very thorough, very in depth as well. Go and have a look at that. Now, somebody's just commented in the chat. Let me go and see what that is. Dan Cullen says you must never stop these things happening. I largely agree with that. All I would say is every opportunity, every one of these collapses, every accident, every incident, every fatality is a potential learning opportunity, and I think that's the important thing, is the fact that we learn from that and hopefully amend construction methods to make sure it doesn't happen again. We'll be right back after this.
If you are enjoying this episode, please consider supporting the show. You can leave us a tip at buymeacoffee.com/demolition news.
You may be aware of the Fayat Group name. The company owns both Bomag and Dynapack, so it's a pretty big deal in the field of compaction. But as you're about to see, there is more to the company than just rollers and plates.
Nothing would be possible without the audacity of the 23,000 women and men who make Fayat. The audacity to act, the audacity to innovate, the audacity to be the first independent construction group in France and a world leader in road equipment. Every day, Fayat Foundations lays the basis which form our strength, with its teams, its expertise. The Fayat building teams innovate and commit by designing low-carbon construction. Individuals and professionals can enjoy innovative spaces that we are proud of. This is our core activity, the historic base of the group: underground works, dams, civil engineering, linear infrastructures and earthwork. 100 years of expertise serving communities worldwide. Building structures to connect people, enhancing your daily life is our main purpose. Fayat Metal takes a strong environmental approach. Glass, aluminium and metal enable limitless possibilities while saving on materials and ensuring clean dismantling. Wastewater treatment, drinking water storage and power supply. Fire pressure vessels, experts from 200 years in this field, operate on 5 continents to meet the strategic challenges of our planet's future. World leader in road equipment. We are 6,000 employees around the world. We are the partner for companies in road equipment, maintenance, rehabilitation and cleaning. Thanks to our industry-leading equipment, we create unique road asphalt, which are up to 100% recycled. Our cities need to be increasingly smart and connected, easing traffic flow with algorithms, adopting smart systems to save energy, safeguarding strategic data. Civil works, foundations, building, energy services, metal, pressure vessels, road equipment. We are proud of every subsidiary of our 7 divisions, of their ability to undertake all projects and to support our customers everywhere in the world. And, like our vineyards, we never forget who we are, where we come from, and how precious this planet is. We are proud of these women and men who shape and reshape Fayat every day through our 3 values: autonomy, commitment, audacity.
Well, you learn something every day. I've been calling them Fayat for years. Fire, apparently. Quite an organisation, though. In some ways, reminded me of Liebherr, not just because they've got their own vineyard, which Liebherr has as well. Just got their finger in so many pies, but most people know them just for a few core products like Bomag and Dynapack. I'm going to say a very quick good morning. Gary Muirhead is with us and has just answered our question of the day. His question of the day. Graham Footy Williams is here as well. And I know Dan Cullen says, where is everyone today? I think virtually everybody, the usual suspects, are all here. Haven't seen Andy Darville yet, but I'm sure he's lurking about the place. But yeah, we'll crack on without them because they can catch all of this on YouTube a bit later on. So, some of this, I think. When most of us think of demolition robots, I think the name Brock generally springs to mind. But there are alternatives. And those alternatives look spectacular. Damn shame that film was so short. I could have watched a lot more of that. But yes, Husqvarna demolition robots look very good indeed. Shall we have some of this?
Since the finance bill came into effect in April, the construction industry has seen a surge of fuel thefts. The rising cost of living has placed an additional risk of theft by employees and contractors, as well as opportunistic thieves. By using diesel dye and placing warnings of its use, you are sending a clear message that this is your fuel.
Right, trigger warning time, people. If you are acrophobic, suffer from vertigo, or if you're a stickler for health and safety, now would be a very good time to go and make yourself a cup of tea, because what I'm about to show you will definitely give you the collywobbles. This is a film from the US Smithsonian Institute, and it features some never seen before footage of the Chrysler Building in New York being erected back in the 1920s. So, a final warning: if heights aren't your thing, then prepare to look away for the next 2 minutes.
In Manhattan, a series of ambitious skyscrapers rise up, each competing to claim the title of tallest in the world. The Chrysler Building becomes the first man-made structure to breach 1,000 feet. It's a leading example of Art Deco architecture that remains iconic to this day. This is rare footage of its famous eagles being installed on the 61st floor. Like the Statue of Liberty, they're thinner than they seem. The working men who construct the buildings, known as roughnecks, are a special breed.
Pretty high up there.
They work without harnesses, safety ropes, or hard hats, spending 8-hour shifts in the clouds with no bathroom breaks. Workers fling red-hot rivets by hand through the air. These jobs are so dangerous that 2 out of 5 fall to their deaths or end up disabled. Across town on 34th Street, construction begins on an enormous 102-floor office building, intended to be a symbol of New York's wealth and power. Former New York Governor Al Smith actively promotes the construction.
As fast as human ingenuity, brains, and ability can bring it about, there will tower on this corner the Empire State Incorporated, the largest office building in the world.
Heights generally don't bother me, but I think I just found my limit. Can you imagine doing that for a living? Throwing red-hot rivets about the place. But the stat that really caught my attention was 2 in 5 of those workers will fall. Most of them killed, many of them injured. 2 in 5. Can you imagine that being tolerated today? Why would it be tolerated today? Would you be willing to work at those sort of heights? Even with a harness, would you be willing to work at those kind of heights? Let me know in the chat.
If you would like to buy a limited edition Break Fast show sticker, head on over to buymeacoffee.com/demolition news/extras.
Now, she's been away for a short break, but she is back and she brings with her hot news from the field of site dumpers. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Miss Demi Lition.
Spanish dumper manufacturer Ausa has underlined its commitment to decarbonization by introducing 2 new electric-powered models. The D101 and D101 compact dumpers both have a 1,000 kilogram payload and join the range of electric vehicles that Ausa launched onto the market in late 2022. Both machines share the same platform, but the D101 is a narrow dumper with a width of 108 centimeters that is suitable for small municipal works where there is very little room to maneuver, such as trenching and small landscaping jobs. The D101 compact is equipped with small 12 inches wheel rims that reduce the overall width of the machine to just 100 centimeters. This allows this electric model to fit through building and residential doors, making it the perfect choice for indoor demolition work. Both models have a battery pack with a maximum power of 17.3 kilowatts, allowing them to tackle any terrain and match the performance of a diesel dumper. The lithium-ion batteries have a capacity of 9.3 kilowatt-hours and can be charged from 20 to 80% in just 2 hours by plugging them directly into a 230-volt mains socket, or in 1 hour with an external fast charger. Ausa's entire electric vehicle range is designed so that each machine can operate for at least one intense shift. This allows the operator to carry out their work without worrying about the battery range. They are also powered by lithium-ion batteries, which deliver greater efficiency and durability than other battery types.
Thanks for that, Demi. Tidy dumpers, I think you'll agree. Hopefully the next time I'm in Barcelona, I can swing by and see Ausa and their expanding electric fleet in person, which kind of answers Gary Muirhead's question. Where are these dumpers manufactured? They are manufactured in Barcelona. Yeah. They are manufactured in Barcelona, in Spain. Welcome back, Miss Demi Lition, says Dan Cullen. And Jamie O, I don't remember seeing here before, so let me give him his proper welcome. We go up to here. There we are. Construction is a dangerous industry. You damn tootin' it is. Less dangerous than it was back in the 1920s when the Chrysler building was being built. But yes, 100% a dangerous business. And thank you very much indeed for joining us, Jamie, over from YouTube. That pretty much wraps up the main part of this morning's show. I'm going to roll the outro in just a second before leaping gazelle-like over into the chat to see what you're all saying today. If you can't stick around for that, then please stay safe, look after yourself, your family, your friends and your colleagues. But if you do have the time and the inclination, please stick around, because I'll be back after the crack, with the crack, something like that, immediately after this final word from our key show sponsor. Good morning, one and all. Slow uptake this morning, but everybody seemed to arrive in the end. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Let's have a look. I'm going to say good morning to Paul Deegan. Morning, Paul, who's just joined us over on Facebook. Morning, Paul, and good morning to everybody else. And there's Chris Ford. Good morning. The 10 o'clock curse strikes again. My phone actually lit up about 10:05, and I hit the do not disturb button. Happens every single morning. You would think 611 shows and 3.5 years in, people would realise that I don't do much around between 10 and 11, apart from this. No, they still keep calling. Good morning, Ken Hatchery was first off the mark this morning. He's got the rain this morning. It looks like it could here, but it isn't at the moment. So I'm going to make the most of that while I can. Andy Bullock was second off the mark. Good morning, Andy, over in Facebook land as well. And Dan Cullen also on Facebook. Morning, Dan. Hope you're fit and well, my friend. Mark Whiting is in the house. Morning, Mark. Let's have a look. Yeah, very, very quickly, and I'm not going to bore you with it, but I sat down feeling all inspired last night, and I finally got around to writing the story of how the Breakfast Show came into being, complete with COVID lockdowns and all the things. If you fancy reading that, go and have a look. The link's there. If you don't, I understand. It's not a problem. Now, Neil Edwards is here. Good morning, Neil. There is a question about Neil here. Where is he? There we are. What has Neil done? Has he retired? No, Neil has not retired. Neil is probably working harder now than he ever has done, to be perfectly honest. But no, there was a change in ownership at Builders Conference, and Neil is now still performing very much the same role, but rebuilding from the ground up. So I'm seeing Neil on Thursday at the London Build Exhibition at Olympia. I'll have the camera with me. I'm not entirely sure what we're going to talk about, but if Neil is winning, I'll certainly point the camera in his direction. If you have any questions for Neil between now and next Thursday, please let me know, and I'll be more than happy to put them to him. And if anybody is going to the London Build exhibition, not much in the way of plant there generally, but I do have a couple of appointments, one of which is with Neil, but I've got a couple of other people that I need to see while I'm there. So if you are there on Thursday, I'm going to do the show, so finish here about 11 on Thursday next week. Pop down to the train station. I reckon I will be at Olympia for about 1 o'clock or thereabouts. So if anybody is around and fancies a bit of a natter, cup of coffee on me, let me know and we'll hook up. There's Dan Cullen saying, how are we all? I'm firing on all cylinders. I have to admit, yesterday I was feeling a little bit under the weather, a bit of a dodgy stomach yesterday, but that seems to have passed, and now all firing on all cylinders. Glenn Johnston's in the house. Morning, Glenn. I hope you're doing well. Ken Hatcher repeating what I said earlier and wishing you all the best. I liked his monthly chat. I would love to get that back because I think we are, we're already in a slightly sticky situation with the economy and with the construction industry. It would be nice to get that information back, particularly as we reported for a period of, on this show for a period of a good couple of years, but I think even further back on Demolition News, we were reporting the fact that the house building sector was contributing somewhere between a third and a half of all construction contract awards. House building has taken a bit of a hit. I wonder what the figures are looking like now. I'll ask Neil that when I see him. And there is Dan Cullen, actually reiterating what I just said. The amount of guys out of work is climbing daily. I'm busy putting guys on groups and people asking me for work every day. Yeah, absolutely. I don't know what Bello Mohammed is talking about. So she's got her lover back, apparently. Good luck to you, Bello. Why I needed to know that, I have no idea. Gary Muirhead is here as well. Thank you for the question of the day, Gary. As I say, I have no dog in that fight. Would I work a longer days for a shorter week, or a shorter days for a longer week? Doesn't make any difference to me. I'm committed to doing this. I have no choice in the matter. If anybody else would like to contribute to that, please do so. There is the link to the New York Times article on the Champlain Towers collapse back from was it June 2021. If you'd like to go and read that, as I say, very thorough, very in-depth. Still no complete answer on it, but I did find it interesting. Among many things in that piece, they are expecting at least some preliminary findings in spring 2024. So bearing in mind we are fast approaching 8 years for Didcot, in which 4 people died. The American authorities look like they're going to be able to turn around an investigation in less than 3. Funny that. Jim Turner is here. Good morning, Jim. Hope you're fit and well, my friend. Yeah, it really was a tragedy. I was notified of it by a friend in the demolition business, actually, from the States, who said it had gone on. And then lo and behold, a couple of days later, he was called in as part of the crew to go and clear it up. And they were obviously required to bring down the remaining part of the building when there were still people missing. Awful business, absolutely awful business. Probably made with matchsticks. I'd like to think not, but when you read the New York Times article, there were reports of some structural damage or some structural integrity before the collapse actually happened. So yes, there you are. As Dan Cullen says, even $1 billion will never replace the people who lost their lives. You're quite right. Nice apartment, yes, absolutely. I mean, I no real desire to live in Miami, but the apartments were very, very nice indeed. We're talking about the Fayat group, not something on fire, Fayat, Fayat, who own Bobcat and Dynapack and a lot more besides. 23,000 people working for them. It's quite the size, isn't it? Dan Cullen said, where is everyone today? We did have some late arrivals, but they were all lurking about the place. Gary Muirhead, question of the day. This is his question of the day, and this is his answer, which if I were working the way that you guys tend to work, I think I'd be with Gary on this. Longer days and a shorter week. I'd spend more time with the family. Yeah, it would be nice to crank out the days. I've always quite fancied the idea of working flat out Monday to Thursday and taking Friday, Saturday, Sunday off to recover. which is why I only do Saturday social shows every once in a while. Graham Footy Williams is here as well, saying good morning, bro. Good morning to you, Graham. Thank you for the message on LinkedIn earlier today. I'm trying to remember who it was. It was a video I think you sent me from Mac Plovey. I follow Mac, and I've met him a couple of times as well. Very good guy. But thank you for sending it over to me anyway. Dan Cullen says, I prefer the way it is. 5 days, 9.5 hours. But yeah, longer hours and shorter week, also a good idea. Totally agree. Graham Footy Williams says the thickness of their ropes. That was the guys working way. Lots of stuff to take away from that. I mean, I've seen people sat on girders suspended high above the New York skyline before. You know, I'm well aware of people walking along very, very narrow beams and that kind of thing. But throwing red hot rivets about the place, who thought that was a good idea then? and the fact that they actually had devised what looked like a steel baseball catcher's mitt to catch them. How many did they catch? How many did they drop? How many hit them in the ear roll? I would love for the records to show that. Amazing how things were built back in the day, withstand more than the buildings they build nowadays. Yeah, you think about that. I mean, that was mainly focused on the Chrysler Building and then subsequently the Empire State Building, both of which still stand proud over the Manhattan skyline. And just astonishing. The weird thing was, when I went to New York a couple of years ago, in my head, the Empire State Building is kind of the icon. I don't know whether that's King Kong related or postcard related or what it is, but the Chrysler Building is astonishing. Honestly, it really is an absolute. And this is coming from somebody who knows absolutely squat about architecture, but it is an architectural marvel. Really is a fantastic place. If you get to New York, go take a look. Tell them I sent you. It won't do you any good, but tell them I sent you. Gary Muirhead says, you want to make sure you don't fall off because you only get one shot at it. Yeah, I mean, the 2 in 5 falling off. Can you imagine trying to explain that as part of your RAMs now? What sort of workforce are you going to have? Well, it's going to be a revolving workforce because we're going to lose 2 out of every 5 every few weeks. Unbelievable. Let's have a look. And there's Dan Cullen echoing that. Wow, 2 out of 5. That's a hard thing to take your life in your hands there. Yeah. And as we've mentioned this on the show before, and I will one of these days go and find this. There was, I'm fairly sure it was a BBC documentary, or it may have been syndicated from an American TV show that was talking about those, what did they call them? Roughnecks working above the Manhattan skyline. And apparently, at the time, a lot of them were Native Americans because, according to this film, and I don't know the basis of this, but according to this film, a lot of the Native Americans basically had no natural fear of heights. They just sort of strolled around up, 1,000 feet in the air like it was nothing. I would get 1,000 feet in the air and I would find the nearest beam and I would cling on and somebody would have to forcibly remove me. No harnesses and no hard hats. No, you imagine. One of the things that impressed me the most, there was a guy there working 1,000 feet in the air and his headgear was a trilby hat. How do you keep a trilby hat on? I've been to New York. It gets a bit blowy. 1,000 feet in the air, it's going to be blowing a gale. Kept his trilby on because he was cool. That's how. There's Jamie O, construction, a dangerous industry. Would be lovely to be able to report that is no longer the case. But sadly, it is. Dan Cullen, back. Glad to see Miss Demi Lition back. I think she'll be back again tomorrow, actually, because we have some Demolition news to bring you. Where are these dumpers manufactured? Those are the Ausa dumpers. They're manufactured in Spain, in Barcelona. There's JBO saying thank you. You're very welcome. And he is in America. Good morning, America. That sounds familiar. So I'm sure somebody's done that. Paul Deegan is in the house. Chris Ford is in the house. 10 o'clock curse strikes again. Never fails. So, Andy Bullock says, so has anyone spent any time on a 20-ton class electric digger doing real-life things? Real life things. Interesting to hear from a proper jockey how it was. I tend not to listen to claims by companies. They are biased. I have not operated a 20-ton electric digger. I have operated a 20-ton hybrid digger, and it was bloody brilliant. However, I don't do this for a living. So any of you out there that have actually operated an electric digger of any sort of size or magnitude, please let Andy Bullock know, because he wants to do real life things. Andy Darvell arrived at the very end of the show. Good morning, everyone. Sorry I'm very late. Naughty boy. Yes, go and sit. Go and sit on the naughty step where you belong. Neil Edwards, wish I had retired. Currently in rebuild mode. Yes, he is in rebuild mode, and it's going well. Trust me. Now, hopping over to Australia. Lou Dennison says, good morning from Perth, Western Australia. Shift is done for the day. A deserved cold one in one hand. Love the show. Stay safe. Lou, thank you for that. Thank you very much indeed. And thank you for joining us. I should, let me think. I need to give you a bit of, yeah, there you go. That's some Australian confetti. That is in no way Australian, but thank you very much indeed for joining us from down under. Enjoy that cold one. I'm sure it's well deserved. Let's have a look. Andy Darvell. Good day, Lou. Enjoy that beer, mate, he says. Indeed. Would happily do we're back to the question of the day. Here's our friend Garvin from Mostly Diggers. Would happily do 4 long days, as most of the work for me is not in my area. Dublin for 4 days, work and home for 3 would be perfect. Unfortunately, running machines will always be a 5-day plus type of job. Yeah. It kind of will, won't it? Chrysler Building has a lovely, elegant look to it. It absolutely does. And listen, I've been in and up the Shard on a number of occasions, and it is spectacular. I've been in and up the Gherkin. I've been in and up the Walkie-Talkie Building. I've done my London thing, and they are very, very impressive. But they are not a patch on the Chrysler Building. It is truly iconic. I don't know who designed that. I can only think of one architect. That's Frank Lloyd Wright. He may have had something to do with it. I don't know. I'm just clutching that out of my rear end. But whoever designed that was an absolute master. Jim Turner says, I'll take 3 15-hour shifts, Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday, please. Jim, if I was giving out working days, I would be more than happy to serve you as you requested, but I'm not. But yeah, wouldn't that be nice, actually? No, I can't do a 3-day week. There was talk, I don't know if you remember this, but when we came out of lockdown, obviously the lockdown itself was what prompted this show in the first place. And when we came out of lockdown properly, not the first or the second time, but when we came out properly, I do remember Peter Haddock saying you should go to a 3-day week and get out and about more. And at the time I thought that sounds like a sensible idea, but the show has actually got bigger and longer. It's not really an option, although I am out today and I'm out a couple of times next week. But the show will go on. Andy Darvell says, question, a 4-day week would be lovely. If I had my magic wand, people, I would give you all your wishes, but I've misplaced it, along with just about everything else that I own. Mostly Diggers. For Andy, the only electric excavator I saw doing an almost real day of kind of work was a Cat 320 modified to electric by Z-Line or Z-Line. How was it? Was it any good? Andy Darvell says, have you shown the new merch hat yet? No, I haven't. We have a merch store, as I'm sure many of you are aware. The merch store is currently being reshuffled. We reshuffle it a couple of times a year, basically to bring some products back to the surface. And one of the products that we need to bring back to the surface, obviously, is our perennially popular Wreck the Halls t-shirts and hoodies. Wreck the Halls, it's a Christmas thing. It's a very Christmas themed. Looks lovely in red. And every year we bring them back. Every year we sell out. So we're doing that at the moment. But at the same time, we're also bringing out the Breakfast Show merch as it should look. So watch this space. I'm hoping early next week we'll be able to share that with you. Mostly Diggers, Garvin says, if Jim does 3, I'll do the other 2. We can keep one machine going full time. Everyone wins. There you are. That's why this show is like Tinder or Grinder or something. We just match make to our heart's content. Guys, if you'd like to get your heads together and make that happen, please let me know. That's going to do us. I do actually have some travelling to do today. I've got to pop up country a little bit to go and do a thing, but I will be back here tomorrow. It's going to be a late night, but it's worth it. I'm going to be back here tomorrow at 10 a.m. No Saturday show this week, although I'm hoping to do one the week after that, but I'll keep you posted on that. So yes, I'll be back here tomorrow for the final show of the week. Please tune in if you can. Gary Muirhead says, have a safe journey. Thank you very much indeed. I will certainly try. I am lagging behind on quite a few podcasts and audiobooks, so I need to go and do some of that while I'm traveling. Thanks, Andy. Love you too. Bye. Have a great day and safe journey, Mark. Thank you very much indeed, Dan. Everybody, go and have a fantastic day. I'll be back for more of the same tomorrow. As I say, we've got some Develon news to bring you, and we've got something else as well. Yeah, we've got a really cracking Cabelco film to bring you as well. So if that sounds like it may float your boat, please be here tomorrow, 10 a.m. Till then, everybody, have a fantastic day. All the best.